Hello, Joe from Mont Marte here again. You know, one of my most favourite mediums is watercolour. I just find the whole process of painting with them so relaxing. So in today's lesson, we're going to explore this wonderful medium by creating a beautiful little fairy wren nestled in a fringe lily bush. So I have taken a leaf out of the A3 300 GSM watercolour paper and I have taped it onto my sketchboard. The reason I'm using 300 GSM paper is I hate buckling. So the first thing we have to do is get our image onto the watercolour paper. And how do we do that? With tracing paper. So I have meticulously drawn my image onto tracing paper with a 6B pencil and I'm going to transfer it like that. And this is a really great way to do it because you can make lots of copies. So if you make a mistake when painting, you can just grab another copy. Once the outline is transferred, you may want to refine it a little. So grab yourself a set of Mont Marte watercolour paints. You get 12 in the pack and they're high quality, rich and translucent. And that is very important for watercolours because for watercolours to really work, they rely on the translucent pigment on top of the white paper. So let's get a little bit of pigment onto the paper by creating a variegated wash with the medium yellow. And we'll be using a 50mm Mont Marte Taklon brush to do that. I want my wash to go from light at the top to dark at the bottom. So I'm turning my sheet upside down and laying undiluted pigment at the top of the sheet, then moving down the page, adding water as I go, thereby lightening the hue. Now grab a bit of tissue and lightly dab the paint off your bird. If we didn't remove the yellow pigment, our blue fairy wren would come out looking green. Wow, how good does that colour look? Well, let's get the boring parts out of the way and paint the stalks. So lay out one full dab of ochre, one half a dab next to it. This will be our mid-tone. Now half a dab of burnt umber to mix with the ochre and a full dab of burnt umber. This will give us 3 tones. Let's paint our stalks. With watercolour you move from light to dark. So I start with the lightest tone, the pure ochre, and paint in all the stalks. These squirrel mops just hold so much paint. They keep a lovely point too. Now I apply my middle mix, the ochre and umber. This covers 3/4 of each stalk to leave a highlight on the side closest to the light source. In this case, the light is emanating from the top right hand side, so the left side of each stalk will be in shadow. I can now add my third and final tone. This is just pure umber. This will appear in the darkest shadow areas and help convey the natural tube shape of each stalk. Well, that's looking great. Once you've finished your branches, we move on to the flowers and I'm going to show you a really cool technique. Load your brush with clean water and paint in the flowers, leaving the stamen area clear of water. Don't worry, I know it doesn't look very exciting yet. Squeeze out a dab of brilliant red, charge the brush and drop the pigment into the flower. The meniscus of the water will contain the pigment within its fluid boundaries, but won't hinder its haphazard reaction when they come into contact. So really lovely, unpredictable results can occur. I paint each flower individually and let them dry ready for the next step. Squeeze out a dab of Pathello. Mix it in with the water and paint it over the red flowers. Don't make it too dark though, you really want to see that brilliant red underneath. This is called a glaze. Paint the rest of the flowers like this too. Give the brush a good clean and we can finish our flowers. This part is a cinch. Paint the middle of each flower in sap green and then pat the colour off. Although most of the colour is gone, the pigment stains the paper, leaving a very subtle tone, a little darker around the edges. Now let's colour our splendid fairy wren. and we'll be using phthalo, ultramarine and black to do that. As I mentioned before, the rule with watercolours is to paint the lightest colours first. So lay in a very watery light coat of phthalo over the whole bird. The luminescence of watercolours is due to their transparency and the white point of the paper under the paint. Look at the thin lines you can achieve with a Mont Marte squirrel hair mop brush. I build up layers of ultramarine in consecutive washes, bearing in mind the general round shape of my friend to suggest this. To richen the hue, I add a very thin crimson glaze, mainly over the ultramarine areas of the birdie. This gives him a more natural colour. Now for the black markings. Black is such a strong, powerful tone, so be careful when using it. Vary the amount of water in the mix so the colour is not too flat. A subtle tonal change adds interest and authenticity. Like here on the breast highlight, I'm diluting and blending out the black to create a grey. For the legs, I mix up a dirty grey from a spot of medium yellow, brilliant red and a touch of black. Lay it over the legs, ensuring the colour is a little darker on the undersides. That would be in shadow. Time now for a little detailing, and I'm using black lines to create those fine wing feathers. I paint the eye at this stage as well using pure black. The last step is to add a little bit of Chinese white, just for the highlights. Add the white to highlight the bird's legs and dot in the eye. And with that, you can give yourself a pat on the back. Well, that was a bit of fun, and how easy was it? So give watercolours a go, and if you have any questions or would like to show off your artwork, just find us on Facebook by clicking the link below. So until next time, keep on painting.